Sportsman students, what's going on? Hope you guys are all doing well. Hope you guys are staying active, staying good mentally, and everything's going well. So we're just going to jump right into a little bit of a review. So this page has a review of all the muscles we've learned so far. So you got the sternocleidomastoid and scalenes, neck muscles. Scalenes, you can see they're lateral, right? So they do lateral flexion, bringing the ear to the shoulder. Sternocleidomastoid, flexion of the neck, and then rotation to the opposite side. And then you have the external oblique, and rectus abdominis, and internal oblique, and those are all the abdominal wall muscles. Both of the obliques rotate and flex at the waist. External obliques does rotation to the opposite side. So if you were to flex at the waist and rotate to your left, your right external oblique is working and your left internal oblique is working. Got the rectus abdominis, which is just straight flexion at the waist. And then you have your intercostals, which is one of the muscles for forced breathing. One little extra credit thing I want to tell you about is there's like a little line in here. Okay, and that's called your linea alba. And your linea alba means white line. So it's literally a ligament that runs from your xiphoid process all the way down to your pubic bone and is kind of the anterior support of your body. When women, when they get pregnant and their stomach starts to get bigger and bigger, you might start to see like a dark line down the middle of their abdomen, and that's due to the ligament breaking or tearing. So that's the linea alba. That's an extra credit thing, and I'm going to start doing these little extra credit questions in the material to see who's really who's actually listening to this stuff. So hope you get that one. All right. So just moving on. And if you want to take a picture, there's a review. Okay. All right. Next, so we're going to learn scapular muscles. So all of these muscles attach to the scapula, and they all act on the scapula. So they perform a motion. So some of these motions we haven't learned yet, but they're pretty straightforward. So the first muscle we're going to learn today is this one right here. So it's a big, long muscle. It's superficial on the back. Goes all the way from your occipital bone all the way down to your T12, your thoracic vertebrae number 12. And this is your trapezius. Okay, now your trapezius has a few functions. And you could kind of break the trapezius up into a couple different groups. Let's do it like this, maybe a little higher. Okay, so like 1, 2, 3. So number one, it does extension at the neck. Number 2, it does retraction and elevation. And these are both of scapula. And then number 3 helps with posture. So you might be asking yourself, well, shoot, what does retraction and elevation of the scapula look like? So I got a couple videos for you to, well, not videos, but just actions. So they call it like scapular adduction or abduction, but I like, all right, here we go. So this is retraction of the scapula. So it's like doing a row. Okay, so watch. So neutral, and then retraction is where you basically are doing a row or pinching your shoulder blades together. Okay, so that's retraction. The opposite of retraction is protraction. And then we have elevation. Do they got elevation? Yes. So here's scapular elevation. It's like a shoulder shrug. Okay. So down and then neutral here. Now bring your scapula up. So that's scapular retraction. Or sorry, that's elevation. Okay, so retraction is like pinching your scapulas together. Elevation is you're bringing your scapula up. Right, pretty straightforward. Next muscle we're going to talk about, So there's two on this page we're going to talk about. Okay, so it goes here and actually attaches to the neck. I know it kind of looks weird there. But that muscle is, so it originates here and inserts here, right? So remember, the insertion is the mobile part. So if the eye were to move towards the O, it would elevate the scapula. So this is your levator scapulae. Makes sense that its function is elevation, right? Now this is deep to the trapezius. Next muscle we're going to learn is on this same picture. Right here, it goes from scapula to your thoracic vertebrae. So it originates here, inserts here. If the eye were to go to the O, it would do retraction. So this is your rhomboid. Retraction. Now, I just did a video for faculty and staff about how important these muscles are. All these muscles are super important. Number one, they're important mostly because they get neglected. People have bad posture. People just sit all day long. People carry their stress up in their upper back. So these muscles are always super tight and aggravated. So strengthening these muscles, doing rows, working on your neck are super important, right? Number one, it helps your back function, your shoulder function, helps with posture, which opens up your chest and allows you to breathe better. So these muscles are important. Okay, talking about important muscles, this next group of muscles called your rotator cuff are important as well. So the shoulder is a super unstable joint. Here's another extra credit question. If you dislocate your shoulder, you have an 80% chance of re-dislocating. All right. So the two extra credit questions or points for today are the linea alba and 80% chance of re-dislocating your shoulder. Okay. So that's on this video. All right. So your rotator cuff though is made up of 4 different muscles, and they provide like dynamic stability. Without your rotator cuff, your shoulder would be even more vulnerable than it is. All right, so let's talk about all these different muscles. Okay, so I have them kind of by themselves on the left and then with everything else on the right. Okay, so this muscle is named for its location in relation to the spine of the scapula. This is your supraspinatus. And it's responsible for abduction of shoulder, specifically the first 15 degrees. Okay, so that's abduction. Let me show you just real quick. So sometimes it's hard to kind of get why it would do that, but I just want to show you the whole, oh man. All right, so I just want to show you the whole person. So I want to show you how this does abduction of the shoulder, right? So we take off the deltoid, hide the trapezius, hide the deltoid there. So your supraspinatus, okay, it goes from the top of your scapula and it goes deep. Let me hide these bursa sacs so you can see what I'm talking about. So it goes deep to your clavicle and then inserts on the head of the humerus, and that's why it pulls you into abduction. Okay, next muscle. So if that's the supraspinatus, then this next muscle is your what? Infraspinatus. Whoa. So your infraspinatus, does, so it wraps around the head of the humerus. It kind of wraps around the side. So if the I were to move to the O, it would do external rotation. Next muscle, similar position, just a little bit inferior to your infraspinatus, is your teres minor. And it also does external rotation. Same thing, rotates around. And then next, if you can tell, now we're looking at the anterior aspect of the body. And in this muscle, it's like deep, it's underneath your scapula. This is called your subscapularis. Okay, and your subscapularis does, so these do external rotation, they're posterior. This one does internal rotation. This anterior pulls you that way. Okay, now here's a review page for all of them. Let me see. Okay. So your rotator cuff muscles are known as your sits. Supraspinatus, infra, teres minor, and then your subscapularis. Okay, and then let's just number these. Then we'll label them. So number 1 is supra. Number 2 is infra. Number 3 is teres minor. Okay, and then number 4 you can't see because it is anterior, right? That's the only one that's anterior. So this does internal rotation, external rotation, external rotation, and then abduction. Okay, but collectively, collective function, like we talked about, stabilize shoulder. Okay, so let me see if I could get that all in one. All right, so there we go. So supra, infra, minor, and then subscapularis you can't see here. So go ahead, take a picture of that, or just press pause and take some notes of that. So we learned two pretty heavy groups of muscles, so we'll take some time to review those. Once again, I hope you guys are doing well. Let me know what you need. Talk to you soon.